We all want to be seen, heard, and loved for who we are. We crave connection, not just the presence of someone, but the deep, unwavering knowing that we matter to them. But here's the thing, not everyone who stands beside you is truly with you. And if you've ever questioned whether the person you love actually values you, I want you to lean in, because the way someone treats you is the clearest love letter they'll ever write. Let's talk about 4 behaviors that reveal when a man doesn't value you. Think about the last time you tried to express something that hurt you, something small, maybe, or something big. Maybe you had a rough day and just needed to vent. Maybe he said something that stung, and instead of letting it fester inside you, you chose to speak up. That's vulnerability, that's bravery, and yet instead of meeting you with curiosity, care, or even a simple, I hear you, he met you with something else. Maybe it was a sigh, an eye roll, a dismissive, you're overthinking it. Maybe he told you to just let it go or stop being so sensitive. In that moment, your emotions, the very real, very human things you felt, were not seen, not honored, not welcomed. When someone dismisses your feelings, it sends a message. Your emotions don't matter. You are too much. Your experiences aren't valid. And the dangerous part, if this happens often enough, you start believing those things. You start questioning yourself. You think, maybe I am being dramatic. Maybe I do overreact. Maybe I should just stop bringing things up. So you do. You stop sharing, you stop expressing what hurts, what worries you, what makes you feel unseen or unheard. You convince yourself it's easier this way, less exhausting than trying to justify why your emotions deserve space. But let's be clear, silencing yourself is not the answer, because love, real, healthy, grounded love, makes room for feelings. It doesn't mean the person will always understand right away. It doesn't mean they won't ever make mistakes. But when someone values you, they don't make you feel like your emotions are an inconvenience. They don't dismiss, belittle, or make you feel ridiculous for feeling what you feel. Instead, they listen, they lean in, they try. And if someone refuses to do that, if every attempt to be vulnerable is met with resistance, defensiveness, or avoidance, then that is not love that values you. That is love that expects you to disappear piece by piece until you are small enough to fit their comfort. But here's the truth. You don't have to shrink for love. The right love makes space for you exactly as you are. Love isn't just about big words or grand gestures. It's not about the poetic texts, the late night I miss you messages, or the occasional surprise dinner. Those things are nice, but they don't build the foundation of a strong relationship. Do you know what does? Consistency, effort, intentionality. A man who values you will make you a priority, not just when it's convenient for him, not just when he feels like it, but as a natural and consistent part of his life. Because when you love someone, they matter to you in a way that shapes your decisions. They become woven into the way you move through life, not an afterthought you entertain when everything else is settled. But when a man doesn't value you, you'll start to feel it in subtle yet painful ways. You always come second or third or last. It starts with little things. He cancels plans last minute because something came up. He forgets important dates, not just birthdays or anniversaries, but things that matter to you. The day of your big work presentation, the weekend you were excited about seeing your family. When you bring it up, he has excuses. He's busy. Work has been stressful. His friends needed him. And while all of those things might be true, here's a hard reality. People make time for what they care about. When a man values you, you won't have to wonder if you're important to him. You won't feel like you're always waiting, hoping, fighting for his time and attention, because love, true, healthy love, doesn't put you on the back burner. He's always distracted when he's with you. Maybe he does show up, but when he does, it feels like he's only halfway there. His mind is somewhere else. He's glued to his phone. He's distracted, distant, emotionally absent. Being physically present is not the same as prioritizing someone. A man who truly values you will be engaged when he's with you. He'll put down the phone. He'll look you in the eyes. He'll listen, not just to respond, but to understand you. Because attention isn't just about presence, it's about care. And when a man doesn't prioritize you, you'll feel that absence even when he's sitting right next to you. You're the one doing all the work. A relationship should never feel like a one-person effort. If you're the one always making plans, reaching out first, checking in, making sure things are okay, then you are carrying the emotional weight of the relationship alone. A man who doesn't value you will let you do all the work. He'll let you adjust your schedule for him, accommodate his needs, be available when he feels like talking, but he won't do the same for you. Over time, this dynamic becomes exhausting. It drains you. It makes you feel unseen, unimportant, and alone in a relationship that's supposed to be a partnership. How do you know if you're a priority? The truth is, being prioritized isn't about demanding constant attention. It's about feeling secure in the relationship. It's knowing that when he says he cares, his actions reflect it. It's feeling like you don't have to beg for time, for effort, for basic consideration, because love isn't something you should have to convince someone to give. So ask yourself, does he consistently make time for you? Does he show up when he says he will, physically and emotionally? Do you feel like a priority, or do you feel like an afterthought? Because the right person will not leave you questioning where you stand. And the right person won't make you feel like you have to fight for a place in their life. When someone values you, they make it known, not through words alone, but through their actions every single day. Love should be the place where you feel most seen, most supported, and most safe. It should lift you up, remind you of your strength, and make you feel like you are enough exactly as you are. But when a man doesn't truly value you, his words and actions will chip away at your confidence piece by piece until you start questioning your own worth. Undermining your worth doesn't always happen in obvious ways. It's not always loud insults or direct put-downs. Sometimes it's subtle, slow, and insidious, woven into everyday conversations, disguised as jokes, masked as constructive criticism. And because it's not always blatant, it can be hard to recognize. But here's the truth. The person who claims to love you should never make you feel less than. He constantly criticizes you. Does it feel like no matter what you do, it's never quite enough for him? Maybe he makes little comments about the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you handle situations. Maybe he jokes about your intelligence, your weight, or your dreams, but somehow the joke is always at your expense. And when you call it out, he tells you that you're overreacting, that you're too sensitive, that you can't take a joke. But let me be clear, love does not thrive in an environment of constant criticism. There's a difference between healthy feedback and belittling remarks meant to make you doubt yourself. A man who values you will never make you feel like you need to shrink yourself to be good enough for him. He compares you to others. One of the most painful ways someone can undermine your worth is by making you feel like you don't measure up. Maybe he compares you to an ex, to other women, to some impossible standard that you can never quite reach. He might say things like, why can't you be more like her? Other women don't get upset over things like this. You used to be more fun. What happened? Comparison is a tool of control. It keeps you insecure. It keeps you chasing approval that will never fully come. And over time, it convinces you that you're lucky just to have him, as if love is something you have to earn rather than something you inherently deserve. He dismisses your achievements and dreams. A man who truly values you will celebrate you. Your successes, no matter how big or small, will be important to him because they are important to you. But a man who doesn't value you will do the opposite. He will downplay your achievements, mock your dreams, or make you feel like what you care about isn't significant. If you get a promotion, he might shrug and say, it's not that big of a deal. If you're excited about a new opportunity, he might remind you of all the ways it could go wrong. Instead of lifting you up, he keeps you grounded in doubt. Because when someone consistently makes you question your abilities, your goals, your right to be proud of yourself, it's not an accident. It's a way of keeping you small. He makes you feel like you're hard to love. This is one of the deepest wounds a person can inflict, making you believe that you are difficult to love. A man who doesn't value you might act like he's doing you a favor by being with you. He might say things like, no one else would put up with you. You should be grateful I'm still here. You're too emotional. That's why relationships never work for you. These are not words of love. These are words designed to keep you afraid. Afraid to leave, afraid to demand more, afraid to believe that you deserve better. But here's what I need you to know. You are not too much. You are not unworthy. You are not lucky to have someone who makes you feel small. They are lucky to have you. How do you know if he's undermining your worth? Ask yourself these questions. Do I feel confident and supported in this relationship? Or do I feel like I'm constantly second-guessing myself? Do I feel safe sharing my thoughts, dreams, and insecurities? Or do I fear being judged or dismissed? Do I feel like I am growing in this relationship? Or do I feel like I am shrinking? Because the right love nourishes you. It does not erode your sense of self. The right love does not make you feel like you have to fight for respect. It does not leave you questioning your own worth. If someone is constantly making you feel like you are too much or not enough, I need you to hear this. It is not because of who you are. It is because of who they are. And that is not your burden to carry. The love you deserve will never make you question your own value. It will remind you every single day just how worthy you already are. Love without emotional connection is like a house without a foundation. It might look fine on the surface, but it will never be strong enough to withstand the weight of a real, lasting relationship. When a man lacks emotional availability, he creates a dynamic where you are physically together but emotionally alone. At first, you might not notice it. Maybe he's charming, affectionate, even fun to be around. But over time, something starts to feel off. It's like trying to hold on to water. It slips through your fingers no matter how tightly you try to grasp it. He is there, but not really. Present, but distant. Engaged in the relationship, but only on his terms. And the worst part, you start feeling like you are asking for too much just by wanting real emotional intimacy. He avoids deep conversations. One of the biggest signs of emotional unavailability is an unwillingness to go beyond the surface. You try to talk about your feelings, your fears, your dreams, anything that requires depth, and he either shuts down or changes the subject. You ask him what's wrong when he seems upset, and he brushes it off with, "I'm fine." You try to express your emotions, and he waves them away with, "You're overthinking it." Conversations with him always feel safe but shallow, like small talk that never turns into real talk. And the more you try to bridge the gap, the more exhausted you feel, because the truth is, a relationship without depth is just companionship, not connection. He struggles to show vulnerability. Vulnerability is the glue that holds two people together. It's what allows us to say, this is who I am, my fears, my hopes, my scars, my dreams. It's what makes love real. But if he lacks emotional availability, he won't let you in. He might be affectionate in the moment, but when it comes to opening up about real things, his past, his fears, his emotions, he shuts down. Maybe he was raised in an environment where emotions were seen as weakness. Maybe he's been hurt before and built walls to protect himself. But here's the hard truth. You cannot build emotional intimacy with someone who refuses to meet you halfway. A relationship where only one person is emotionally available is like trying to dance with someone who refuses to take your hand. He dismisses or minimizes your feelings. When you try to express your emotions, he might respond with things like, "Why are you making such a big deal out of this? You're overreacting. You're too emotional." These statements don't just dismiss your feelings, they invalidate your experience. And the more it happens, the more you start questioning yourself. You wonder if maybe you are overreacting. Maybe you should just let things go. But listen to me, your feelings are not too much. If someone cannot hold space for your emotions, that is not a reflection of you. That is a reflection of their own emotional limitations. He's hot and cold one day, he's affectionate, engaging, maybe even deeply connected. The next, he's distant, withdrawn, and uninterested. This cycle of pulling you in and then pushing you away keeps you in a state of emotional confusion. You start thinking, if I just do everything right, maybe he'll open up. Maybe he'll let me in. But the truth is, his inconsistency isn't about you. It's about his inability to sustain emotional closeness. Real connection isn't about temporary intensity. It's about steady, consistent emotional presence. If he only gives you glimpses of intimacy but never fully shows up, then you are in a relationship with someone who is emotionally unavailable. You feel lonely even when you're with him. Loneliness in a relationship is one of the most painful things a person can experience. It's that feeling of sitting next to someone and yet feeling miles apart. It's wanting to be seen, heard, and understood, but knowing that no matter how hard you try, you will never fully reach them. If you feel lonely in your relationship, pay attention to that feeling, because love, real love, should feel like a safe place to land. It should feel like being understood, like being held emotionally, even when words aren't spoken. How do you know if he's emotionally unavailable? Ask yourself these questions. Does he avoid deep conversations and emotional topics? Does he struggle to express his own feelings or shut down when you try to talk about yours? Do you feel like you have to chase him for emotional connection? Do you feel alone in the relationship even when he's right beside you? Because here's the thing, love is more than just being together. It's about truly seeing each other. It's about feeling safe enough to be vulnerable, knowing that the other person will meet you there. If you are constantly begging for emotional connection, if you feel like you are always reaching out and never being reached for, then it's time to ask yourself the hardest question of all. Do I want to stay in a relationship where my emotional needs will never be met? Because you deserve more than surface level love. You deserve depth. You deserve reciprocity. You deserve someone who isn't afraid to show up emotionally, who doesn't just stand beside you, but truly stands with you, and the right person. They won't make you beg for that. They'll offer it freely, because that's what real love does. We've all heard the phrase, actions speak louder than words. And yet so many of us find ourselves caught in relationships where we cling to what a man says, even when his actions tell an entirely different story. Words can be beautiful, they can be poetic, persuasive, even intoxicating. A man who doesn't truly value you might say all the right things. He might tell you he loves you, that you're the best thing that ever happened to him, that he can't imagine his life without you. But what happens when his actions don't match his words? What happens when he says you're important to him, but constantly makes you feel like an afterthought? What happens when he promises to change but keeps repeating the same hurtful behaviors? What happens when he swears he cares but never actually shows up for you when it matters? When a man's words and actions don't align, it creates emotional confusion. You start questioning yourself. You wonder if you're expecting too much. You hold on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, this time he really means what he says. But here's the hard truth. Love isn't about what someone says. It's about what they do. He says he cares, but he doesn't show up when you need him. A man who truly cares about you will be there for you, not just when it's convenient, but when it counts. If you're having a tough day, does he check in on you or does he brush it off? If you need emotional support, does he offer comfort or does he avoid the conversation? If you ask for help, does he follow through or does he make excuses? A man who values you doesn't just say, I'm here for you. He proves it through his consistency, his reliability, and his willingness to stand beside you even in difficult moments. If he constantly lets you down but always has the right words to smooth things over, then what he's really showing you is that his words are empty. He promises change, but the same patterns keep repeating. Maybe he hurt you before. Maybe he ignored your needs, dismissed your feelings, or did something that made you question your place in his life. When you confronted him, he apologized, he said he would change, he made promises, ones that felt real, ones that gave you hope, But then weeks or months later, it happens again. The same behavior, the same disappointment, the same cycle of breaking your trust, apologizing, and then doing it all over again. When someone genuinely wants to change, they don't just say it, they do it. They take accountability, they make the effort, they show growth through consistent actions, not just temporary gestures. If a man keeps telling you he'll change but nothing actually shifts, then what he's really saying is, I want to keep you around without putting in the work to truly be better. He tells you he loves you, but he doesn't prioritize you. Love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice. It's a commitment. It's reflected in the way someone prioritizes you in their life. A man who truly loves you will make time for you even when he's busy. Consider your needs and feelings in his decisions. Show up for you, not just physically, but emotionally. But a man who says he loves you, but never prioritizes you, he's showing you that his version of love is about words, not actions. He makes big promises, but never follows through. Maybe he talks about the future, about the trips you'll take, the house you'll buy together, the life you'll build. Maybe he makes grand declarations about how you're the one, how he'll always fight for you, how you'll grow old together, but when it comes down to it, there's no real effort behind those words. The plans never actually happen. The promises never turn into reality. Real love doesn't just talk about the future, it builds it. If he constantly makes big promises but never follows through, then those words are not love. They are distractions, breadcrumbs that keep you hopeful enough to stay, even when deep down you know he isn't truly showing up for you. He tells you what you want to hear, but his behavior says otherwise. Maybe he senses when you're pulling away, when you're starting to realize that his actions don't match his words. So what does he do? He tells you exactly what you want to hear. I know I've been distant, but I'm going to do better. I don't want to lose you. I just need time. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. And because you love him, you want to believe him. So you give him another chance. But then weeks later, you're back in the same place. The same disappointment, the same emotional exhaustion. A man who values you will not require you to constantly decipher whether or not he actually means what he says. When someone's words and actions don't align, the actions are the truth. How do you know if his words are empty? Ask yourself these questions. Does he consistently follow through on what he says, or does he break promises? Do you feel emotionally safe in the relationship, or do you feel constantly uncertain? Do his words feel like reassurance, but his actions leave you feeling neglected? Are you holding on to potential instead of reality? Because the right love, the love you deserve, is not something you have to decode. It is clear, it is consistent, it is real. A man who truly loves you will not just say the right things, he will show them to you every single day. And that kind of love, it will never leave you questioning where you stand.